So if she can speak English, she'd say that. Because I don't want to use my talking. So she's a horse that knows a choice. Go hollow in my back, be round in my back. Oh, one's much more work than the other. She can't speak English, French, Spanish, German, or any other language. She speaks body language. So all the head talking and whatnot, this is telling you, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't make the connection. Exactly. Supplement with your fingers. Next point. The aid that you need the most throughout the entire ride, to ride really well and do a good job, is your half halt. All of these transitions warm her up to respond to the half halt. I can take it further. They warm you up too. So you have to transmit the aid. You transmit the aid of the half halt to her, and you have to practice this transmission because if you haven't ridden for a day and there's nothing you can do that simulates this off the horse. You have to be on the horse to actually do it. You also need to warm up her ability to receive the aid. It's like a satellite signal. You send it, it beams down to the television, you see the picture. Simple as that. Walk, halt, halt, walk. Walk, nearly halt. All of those transitions warm you up in terms of transmitting, and her in terms of reception. So if you wanted to work over her back, be nicely placed on the bit, not toss her head, be cooperative, and feel like you're getting somewhere, you need to be able to do this. Watch me. Your arms need to move when you're walking. You need to be more supple, more loose, more different. Look, you're walking, and now watch my elbows. Oh, half halt, give, half halt, it's a halt, give. Be careful you don't get too static in one position, meaning like staying in one position. The side effect of you half halting well is her being able to get. So to get a horse on the bit when I grew up was like, oh my God, this is a mystery. How do you do this? Taking that engine apart on that track would be easier until you get back again and getting the horse on the bit. So back then, nobody taught me any of this stuff. It was riding around for a long time. Maybe the horse would get tired enough and the soft line muscles and stop dead. Maybe. So this is technique. Good. Walk nearly halt. Again. Soften your jaw. Anticipate. When you give the aids of nearly halt, she's going to try and go off the bit. So supple her before you give the aids. Soften her jaw. And then nearly halt. And make sure that, look, the walk, this is what you're doing, got it? It's a big walk. Now watch this. Nearly halt. Look, look. Nearly. It's not this. Don't slow the walk down. She'd love to do that. That's called a hum hum. So when we use the word nearly, what happens to the horses, you see, when you make this kind of compressive half halt, is a tremendous amount of stretching in your back. Slowly. It's like lifting a weight. Slowly. If you lift this weight quickly like this, you can say, well, I can do like 75 bicep curls with this weight. Yeah, well, you know what? Slow that down, and I can guarantee you you're not doing 75. And that will actually make you overall mass-wise stronger. Not doing it so quickly. She wants to do all of this stuff quickly and get it over with. So walk nearly halt is like that concept of slowing it down. She's going to hate that. But it's going to be very good for you because it's really supple. Watching. Gentle here for seat, not too like strong, because she's not a big horse. Core, seat, leg, close your hand, softer with your fingers, relax. More on the day. More on the day. In order for you to have all the work, and this is a very cool thing to say, you only need 2 pins for now. Thank God. Because every other thing I'm going to ask you to do take 7 things from her. She's got to go forward and accept the bid. That's it. Half vault give, accept the bid. Accept the bid, supplement. So the time for you to focus on acceptance of the bid, ironically, is when she's on the bid. Good, so when you walk away and you give, they'll soften it right now. And make it really round and half vault, then remain. Yeah, that's right. Good. In terms of perception, most people think, get a supple, get around, she's on the bit, they give, and then they tend to keep giving for a long time until the horse starts to deteriorate. And then they tell the horse not to deteriorate, and then there's a big argument. Ironically, the timing to use to avoid this argument is back here when she's actually correct. It's the same thing with the use of the whip. When a horse is going well forward, quite often I'll say, give her a tap with the whip. And a lot of people are like, well, why would I do that? Like she's already trotted. I'm going to say exactly my point. Why would you put money in your savings account when you've got lots of money? Because you've got lots of money. And what better time to put it in your savings account? Don't put it in your savings account when you owe $10,000 on your visa at 22%. That doesn't make any sense. So build a reserve. Very nice connection. Super. Well done. Now this needs to be as easy for you as inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling and exhaling. Not like this is some big scientific thing and we're creating a Frankenstein out of body parts. This needs to be, well, of course this works. I get on the mounting block, I walk away. By the time I'm at the tractor, this horse is responding to these half balls like this. Wow. That's going to save you 15 minutes. Because it took you 15 minutes to make this happen. Now, let's work based on the fact. Okay, question number 1. You don't have to answer this. Question number 1. Did she listen? Yes, she's actually holding her back and pole, working on the bit. So this proves that she can do this. Question number 2. How exactly physically difficult is this? Like, is she lifting 230 pounds over her head? Is she pulling a wagon with 75 tourists on it? Nope. Is she pulling a 200-pound tree out of the forest? Nope. She's walking and halting. So in terms of overall degree of difficulty, on the scale, like let's use a dressage scale, 0 to 10, this is 0.10. It's hardly anything. She sells this to you at the beginning, like, oh my God, you want me to go on a minute? Are you kidding me? Walk, trot, couple steps, walk. So in actual fact, it's actually physically not that difficult for her. And she could have given this result to you from the mounting block to the tractor if she wanted to. If she wanted to. So when you're working and training, specifically working with animals, in this case of horse, the key word is the word quality. You don't have to do it a bunch of times. You have to do it a few times really well. A few times really well. Good. Super. Soften your jaw. Look at me. Relax your shoulders. The more supple you are, the more supple she will be. Excellent. You keep trotting. Keep trotting. Rise and trot. Now, this means rise and trot as long as you have your connection. Look at her. Very good. Very good connection. This is normal. This is a normal expectation. So when you're learning, one of your goals is to acquire the technique, to think of the quality associated with the technique, to get a good overall end result in a short period of time. I'm not in a rush, but I know that it's imperative that you achieve a good quality result in the shortest period of time. Here's why. Remember I talked about the scale of credibility, like the thermometer on the wall over there? Well, when you lie like that, know that you're that good, they will tend to respect you right away. This is why when someone, an adult amateur, takes their horse to a trainer, like someone will bring the horse to me, okay? they so totally know that I'm not the owner. They right away like, okay, he's the owner. And then in week 2, I get respect, because in week 1, I usually get the finger, because they're used to their other rider, they're used to getting away with it. So by the time it's week 3 to 4, they now realize, don't mess with me, like, let's just do what he says, it's going to be easy. And then their owner shows up. And then they look at the owner, and then they look at me. And then I ride the horse and warm up with the owner, and they're like, okay, yes, whatever you want to do. And then the owner gets on, and then the horse still says, yes, whatever you want to do. But the more that the owner is driving, the more that they feel less like me, cut corners, not be really precise. And the horse then starts to think, I don't really have to be that precise. And things kind of unravel a little bit. It's the nature of the situation. But then I show up again, let's say at their place, and get on the ride. Except the horse knows me now, because we've always spent money together. And right away they're like, okay, don't mess with him. And then the owner says something like, well, why is he so good for you and gives me such a hard time? And then they get kind of annoyed with that. Well, that's how that happens. So the bottom line here is quality. So when you have the quality, you don't make mistakes, then the horse recognizes this about you. And that's why she would trot nicely on the bit for the most part of it. With really no problems. Walk, trot, trot, walk. Yeah, it's funny, smooth.
Yeah, that was only the first transition.
Yeah, you're pulling her in the first trip, she's in the back seat, you're trotting. Smooth and effortless.
I have to go warm up.
Here's the interesting thing. The more supple that you make the horse, the smaller the aid you give to get whatever you want. So when you told her to walk, your body was anticipated, you probably wasn't going to react that well. And so you do the standard military beat off the shelf. Whoa, gotta be more sophisticated than that. So here's how you know. Here's how you know you wouldn't make this mistake. You send in a small half ball that you know purposely is too small and will not walk the horse. It's like talking to someone and you speak so low that you know that they couldn't hear you. But you know you did say something. It's a whisper. Okay, well, give your first half ball, it's like that. If she walks calmly when you did badly, thank God you didn't get one quicker. And if she doesn't listen, all you have to do is give a second half ball that's a little bit louder than the whisper. And then if she doesn't listen, you give another half ball that's actually audible and you can detect it. It's no longer in the zone of the whisper. Then she'll walk smoothly. And this prevents you from overriding, change direction. So I'll explain override, you change direction. She is a mature horse. If she was perfect, she would be, for example, a professor at university that's taught here forever. This person knows their job. Let's say they teach geology. There's no rock on the planet they can't tell you about. So when you come up to her with some kind of pedal and you start to tell her what it is, I wouldn't do that because, she already knows. In her mind, what's she going to think? Oh, here comes another student with a little chunk of granite about to tell me that it's granite and blah, blah. Does she think highly of you then? No. You should come to her with like a Tim Hortons or something like that. And, hey, here's a coffee for you. And then she thinks, all right, a student's going to suck up all that. I like her already. She already knows all of the material. It's way too much inside of her. And her shoulders falling out, and you have a beautiful corner on your circle. Of course, there are no corners on circles. You're still doing it. It's way too much inside there. Good. Less inside and more outside. There you go. Now she's in alignment. Look at her head. So now I'm going to explain what I explained in the first lesson. If I'm judging you, just so you notice if this ever happens, don't ever do this. When you make a circle, like you're doing now, don't turn your head to the left. If I drive with you in the passenger seat, and you're driving, and you're behind the steering wheel, don't look at your driver's side window all the time. That's going to make me really nervous. Here's why. What you're doing right now, it's a lesson on how I train the horse. A dressage test is an evaluation on, did you understand what I taught you? Did you
implement this into the horse successfully? And now can you actually show me this as evidence called dressage test? So a dressage test is primarily about your ability to train the horse through various sequences, choreography, movements, and in all three gaits. You have one for corner again, more outside rein leg. And lastly, it's about geometry. So when a rider turns their head and neck to the left, to look for the world's roundest circle, her shoulder was falling out. This makes no sense whatsoever. Your priorities are skewed. You're looking for the round circle, but your contact is uneven. She's off the bit, halt. And her shoulder's falling out. Oh my God, halt. So, the person that would have taught you at one point taught me. Look to the inside of the circle, they said, you'll make it really round. You know what? They never actually wrote a Grand Prix test. They never wrote a Precinct George test, and more than likely they never went past second level. Because when you would have, you would know that you don't do that. Because when you do that, look, this is what happens to your shoulders. Look at my hands. Now your left rein is too tight. Now the outside rein is too loose. Your shoulders to the fall out right now. I'm about to say, you have a corner again. Yeah, exactly. Except that time, you caught it. Do not turn your head to the left. This same person who told me this also told me at some point about lateral flexion in head. They forgot or didn't know to tell you firstly about alignment. So before you flex the head towards laterally, you have to have them straight and in alignment between both seat bones, both legs, and both hands. And anybody that rides should actually spend a little time driving a horse. Because right now, if you were sitting in a wagon and you're driving this horse, look, your lines are like this. This one's way too tight.
Yeah.
You're never on a straight line. We're always like turning to the left. So coordinate your rein gates. This all started from you turning your head to the left, which explains why if I was judging you as soon as I saw that, I can tell you what's going to happen. Right. She is going to be annoying. She's not going to like this, because if you've ridden it this way for a while, she's used to you being more dominant left than right. And suddenly now when I bring this up, and you try to supplement her on the right way, more than that, she's not going to be more right way. Oh, it's not listening. More on the way. Good. She's going to do that. She's going to let you make this up. Over this normally she's still on. Good, right way. But you read this, certainly read this on the right way. And do not flex to the left. I didn't say to the rest of your life, but at this stage, if you asked me, if I was on a deserted island with her, and I could only have one bend, I could have longitudinal bend or lateral bend, which one would you say that I should have? If I could only have one. Easy answer. It's always longitudinal. Always. Because then you have the horse on the bit in both directions. And you can do a lot of stuff when the horse is on the bit. And if I said, you know, she looks great, but you need a little bit more flexion and bend laterally. Well, for example, numerically, this is like saying, oh my God, you're at like 80% of the 100. You know, if you had some flexion in bend, you'd be closer to 100. If you don't have her through longitudinally, you have her through laterally, that's 40%. She's not on the bit, and she's bending, in this case, example, to the left, and she's not on the bit, you have nothing. So the precedent is always connection through the outside line. And now, because you're doing that, that's why she's so weak. Oh my God, I've got to get out of this somehow. In terms of how she thinks of you right now, she thinks something's wrong with you. And that's why she fidgets and fusses, because she's trying to encourage you to let go of the right way of contact and allow her to function the old way, which she is accustomed to. And if you did that, she'd be very steady in her head and neck while you rode quarters on your circles. Her shoulder was falling out. She'd be on her forehand, and you'd never strengthen her left hind leg. So if someone canters around the arena like this in a Precinct George test they're about to ride, with uneven contact on the left knee, the shoulder of the horse is out, I can already tell you what's going to happen in all the camera. Their left half pirouette, it isn't happening. The changes, they'll have mistakes in the fours and the threes. Because we'll only get a couple of changes. We can't get all of them without any contact. The half pass to the left will take forever to get to the center line. Because the shoulder is out. Oh, and at the center line, you have to then apply the change to the right. Except that's not going to happen because the contact is everything. So all of these are like thread that is at one point when you look for the point of origin. So the other direction, that was the easy one. Stop over more. Nearly halt. Move the bit, move the bit, move the bit earlier. Halt. Move the bit. Good. It's not a mystery what she's going to do. She's predictable. All horses are predictable. They all work in a predictable manner, and they only change if you change it. Seldom, like 1% out of 100 are random. These are whack jobs that you don't want to drive anyway. That looks good. Half halt here.
Because we've never seen any of those around. Whack jobs you don't want to ride.
Yeah, the outside of the pressure will be turned. And when you apply the outside of the pressure, apply it as you squeeze in your half halt. So this puts her inside a stasis, so to speak. She's inside the half halt, like it's a bubble. And then you apply your outside leg and say, don't fall to the right. And give and repeat. Halt, she's not enough in the bit. 2-second rule. Soften your jaw. Good. Half halt give. Half halt give. Correct. Half halt give.
You know I'm allergic to you, right? That's why you're cuddling up against me.
In order for these half halts to work, she's got to accept the bit. She has to go forward and accept the bit. Those are the only two things. Very nice. Half halt turn. When you ride in an indoor arena, that wall isn't the wall. Your outside leg is the wall. Nowadays, we have what's called Western dressage, which I find kind of quite fascinating because, to be honest with you, quality riding is quality riding within each of the neighbor. And it doesn't really matter what the discipline would be, whether it would be each Western. But dressage people that then begin riding Western always ride these tests so much better than Western people that have never been a dressage person. Here's why. Western people tend to ride in really big areas. They don't usually ride in a little like white fenced off corded area that's 20 by 60, usually not ever. They do their reining patterns in like a hockey arena. They tend really not to use that much outside leg. So when you see them make their circles, they're amoebas. This circle is constantly changing. Constantly. It's never really round. Because the horse is never between both seat bones, between both legs, and between both legs. So the degree of precision isn't quite as high, super, as the big way right now. However, there will always be trainers that figure this out. And they get that. And if they've never been to a dressage test, but they always ride the horse between one side of the body and the other, and you say, hey, go ride this test, and someone reads it to them, they'll do a great job, because the horse is between. We also have another phrase that you should know. You need to ride her forward, you need to ride her straight to get her working over her back and through onto the bit. Forward, straight, and through is the phrase. Good. Super. Walk, trot, trot, walk. Transitions. Can you imagine, use your imagination, can you imagine if you kept trotting and tried to solve this problem? You could never solve the problem. The transitions, these transitions are like protocols. You go to the airport, you check in, you go to security, they scan your boarding pass. You go into the belt. He asks you for a boarding pass. You get to the gate. You have to show ID, boarding pass. That's easy. Try entering a nuclear facility in the United States. Let's say that you've worked there for 30 years. They know you. They've been to your birthday party. They one thing is a godfather of your child. Doesn't matter. Show your ID at the gate. Show your ID at the first door. Then you walk inside. Then you have to show your ID again to go up the elevator. Then you go up the elevator, and let's say you work at the third floor. You get out, there's two guys serving machine guns, and you have to show your ID again. But they call you by your first name and ask you how your dog is. And then you finally get to the room that you actually work in, and you have to show your ID again just to get in the room. But they all know you. But these are protocols. They're there for a reason. It's a protocol. Although you might say, well, I can try. Yeah, but with what quality? What's the quality? What's your standard? Watch it, outside leg. Apple, here's another word back. Think about all this stuff you're doing right now, numerically. I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so you're walking. So let's walk for a second. I'm going to give you a percent out of 100. I'm going to say 94. That looks like a 94% correct out of 100. Okay, trot. So, oh my God, you went to 72. You went from 94 and she did this and you went to 72 and you were going to keep trotting? Hello, 94 to 72. If it was 94 to 91, you keep trotting. Think this way. This is you controlling the quality of what you're doing. Apple, right way. Good. In training, are you okay by the way? Okay. In training, you have three important elements you're always dealing with. Element number one, and I'll say it in a funny way. Do you know what the hell you're doing? This is called theory. Do you know the theory? What in layman's terms do you know what the hell you're doing? Point two, if you know the theory, can you physically actually do it? Can you physically actually give her the aids of theory? Very nice. Oh, that was like 98. Ooh, 98, yes. Third one. This is the most important one of the three. It is the one that is statistically missed most often. It's called self-evaluation, self-assessment.
Oh, I'm cuddling with my barn cats. Mine are feral. Yeah. Well, that would require you got close enough. They don't usually get close enough.
We have a little gray one.
What happened to the one transition when I said 94 to 72?
We're getting better generation by generation. We have old, which is all scarred up and battle stuff. And she had a letter in her barn last year. Her baby last year had a letter in her barn this year. Its kittens are a little bit more approachable. So, in like 3 or 4 years, we're good to go.
I said you can trot, but your computer needs to say, well, I asked her to trot, she sent the bid out, followed her back, I've got to walk and do that again. Because in terms of quality, this was substandard. And just so you know, your threshold quality, like your tolerance level, the one that the percent that's too low, is 80. 80 is like anything less than 80 is like, oh my God, what's going on? So your worst case scenario is 80. In order to pass this exam, any exam, the walk transition, the trot transition, she has to give you 80% out of 100. Not 50. Think about this. If you had some physical problem and you went to a specialist, and you looked on the wall that said,
Where's that?
specialist congratulations, blah, 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 university, right? And then you looked and it said, and
There were probably, I think, 3 to 4 inches of snow in Stanley.
I want to find somebody else whose document says about like 90 something on their exam. Not 52.